So one of my first memories is when I was probably about 4, and it was an inappropriate memory with my grandfather. And I was molested, and it went through my whole life. My parents got divorced when I was 5, and so my mom and I moved to Michigan from Washington, and when I would come back for the summer, I would stay with my grandparents, and my grandma had a daycare, and my grandfather molested me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So it was all until I was probably about 15 or 16. I was learning how to drive, and that's when I was like, I'm done.
What age did that start?
About 4.
So do you understand what a miracle you are, Nikki? Because a lot of the ladies, and you know this, the clients we deal with that have been trafficked, severely trafficked, a lot of them had family, internal abuse, sexual abuse. That was very traumatic, where your brain develops a certain way when you're abused sexually as a child. And you can carry that weight for many, many years, or if not the rest of your life, right?
Right.
And so you were thinking, obviously with this guy, either he's going to hit on me or he's going to fire me. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, that's the instinct of your brain going straight to that memory of he might hurt me.
Of a man's going to hurt me.
I mean, how did you get through this all these years? Like, how did you deal with this as a little girl from age 4 to 15? How did your mind reconcile any of that?
Well, I was learning how to drive, and so my grandfather, he stopped at a park, and he was getting ready to try something, and I said, you know what, Grandpa, I just want to drive. And so it was right around the time that law came out that if an adult knew that a child was being molested or hurt in any way, they needed to say something. And so I just happened to drive over to my friend's house and to see if she was there so I could kind of escape, if you will. And she wasn't there, but her mom was. And so I kind of just rough draft told her real quick that my grandpa tried to touch me again. And she goes, again? And I go, yeah. She goes, I can't let you in the car with him. And I said, well, I have to go back. My mom and I are doing laundry at their house. I have to go back. I can't be here. My mom will be very upset. And she goes, no, you're going to go to the car and tell him that your friend is here, and we are going to then call the police and call your mom. And I was like, okay. That was a lot for a 15-year-old. So, so anyway, she ended up calling my mom. My mom freaked out. And again, the trauma, I was thinking that she was mad at me, but she was mad at the situation about the abuse.
Right.
So, anyway, that's where the forgiveness began to happen, because I thought, what did I do? Now my grandpa's going to go to jail, and the whole family's going to be busted up.
Yeah, exactly. And scandal, total scandal.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's the Catholic Church or privately with all of your family. And your neighbors know, you told her.
Yeah.
Like, that's really incredible. Brave of you, Nikki, to even do that. Most children don't even have the guts to tell someone. I'm being molested. I mean, maybe there's not even a word for that. My grandpa's touching me.
Yeah, that was exactly what I'd say.
How did you, get through this journey? Like, did you see your grandpa again after that? Did he go to jail? What happened?
Yeah. So after all of the police work, we didn't see him for about a year.
So the police did come?
Yes. And he did not go to jail because they weren't quite sure what to do with him at that point. There still was a new law, so they weren't sure. So they ended up taking him to therapy, and the therapy worked for him. So later on, when we did get to see them about a year later, he wasn't allowed to be in a room with anyone under the age of 18. So if I walked into the room and it was just him and I, he would get up and leave because he knew he'd go to jail, and he didn't want that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Did that feel really uncomfortable for you?
Yeah, it was. I was like, what's he doing? Because I didn't understand the process. I was still kind of young. But
did you want to say something to him after you told on him? Like, Grandpa, I'm sorry, I had to tell.
Yeah, I think I did, but I don't like confrontation, and so that would be huge. So that's where, thank you, Jesus, that's where he came in. Because later in life, he told me to forgive him.
Wow, how do you reconcile something like that?
I was going to a Bible study, and we were talking about forgiveness, and one of the gals in the Bible study, she said, you should write your grandpa a letter and you should forgive him. And I thought, oh no, I don't know if I can do that. She goes, yeah.
I'm going to punch him. What are you talking about? And punish him.
She said the measure of forgiveness you give is the measure God will give you. And so I went, okay. So
well, I'm not a child molester. What does he have to forgive me from?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how we think. Like, I've not molested a child, so why should I forgive him?
Yeah. Well, I ended up writing the letter, and I wrote the Romans Road also in the letter. And I felt like I needed to really send it, not just for me, but for him too. And so I did. I sent it off to him, and the next time I physically saw my grandfather, the look on his face was so different from the looks previous years. Previous years was more of a lust, but this time it was of love, like a genuine, I love you, thank you, relief.